Tube down, 4 to go. Lighting sucks butt. There we go. We use a nice copper ends because we have the threaded battery terminals on both sides. And there's our donor pair of jumper cables.
A donor pair. Huh?
Donor pair, yeah.
That's a nice
They
term.
donated themselves to make
this project.
To make battery cables. The tools required to make it, really, it's simple, man. If anybody wanted to do it, a razor knife or a pocket knife or any other kind of cutting device to strip about that much, which is, I don't know, a little over ½ inch, maybe 5/8 of an inch off. A lighter to heat the heat shrink tubing. A sturdy pair of wire cutters. These happen to be Klein's, I believe, from long ago. I've had them for years. I only use them when I need to cut wire that's that freaking thick. And this is a $6 pair of wire crimpers that I bought at Harbor Freight also years ago. And they work great for this because these are copper, they squash easy. And piece of cake, man. I see people using, actually I'll show you. I see people taking the same cables that I use and they take an end like this. They take the plastic off of it and then they spread the end open and then they put it on the wire and then they crimp it back together. Now, if I get my wife to hold this, just like that is good. See the difference in those ends? You see how big around that wire is? Current is amperage. Amperage gets hot, especially when you funnel it. When you put those little crimp-on ends like these on a wire that big, every time your amperage goes through it, you're funneling it. So the more amperage you draw, you're funneling heat through that little bitty end, and it will fail eventually. And if you're lucky, it won't start your stuff on fire. But they have been known to start them on fire. So seriously, if you're on a budget, save a couple more dollars. These copper ends are like three and some change for 2. I agree, that's a little expensive. You can get like 10 of these little yellow ones for a couple bucks. I agree, it's a little expensive, but to me, I'd rather not have my shit all burnt down. You know, everything I have is in here. Last thing I want is to be kicking myself in the hind end because I half-assed something and I burned all of our stuff and maybe killed somebody. Just something to think about. Alright, bye. 2 sets down, and I realized that I needed more cable ends. So since I bought all the ones they had in there, I'm pretty sure they don't have any more, but we'll go in and check later. I got 3 batteries, so 1 set to go from one battery to the other, 1 set to go from that battery to the next battery, and then I need to make a set to go from there to chassis ground and to the positive side of the isolator. So I'll figure that out when I get there, and yeah, we're that much closer. And I'm gonna have a crap load of leftover wire, which is cool. Them jumper cables only cost $20 because I wanted the 6 gauge wiring. I didn't think that 8 was thick enough I just like to be sure. It might be overkill. I know it's like, pretty sure it's 4 gauge. A regular battery cable is 4 gauge. Might be 2 though. Correct me if I'm wrong, write it in the comments. But short distances, it should be more than enough. We'll see how it goes. Alright, bye. It's too hot to be firing up the computers today. So, answering Facebook and playing around on YouTube is done via telephone. See? She is, look, she's a telephono hoggo. Ask her. Aren't you? Stop! Alright, bye. Alright, got the batteries hooked up. All I need to do now is run down to the isolator over there, and then hopefully I'll be able to hook up that big inverter, and we will be in business. But, you know, first things first, just to make sure I hook it up right. Got my meter. Got my negative on. And we have 11.4 volts.
How much is supposed to be in this
So,
battery?
it just means they're a little low from using them the other day. They're 12 volt batteries, so
Oh,
like
okay.
13.5 at max or something like that.
Huh.
But
And you put it on 20?
on volts DC, 20.
20?
And then put one on negative, the black, and then one on positive, the red, and it'll tell you how many volts you got.
Is that a combined voltage?
That is a combined voltage. See, what happens is when you, might as well tell you too, when you connect your batteries up, negative to negative to negative, positive, 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 what you're doing is increasing the amp hours of each battery, and you're essentially making it one big battery. So these are 110 amp hours each. The one that we've been using is only 65 amp hours.
Okay.
And you know what we get for use out of that.
Right.
So combined, this is 330 amp hours
Okay. So why is it
at
only...
12 volts.
Oh.
So if I were to go like positive to negative, and then positive and negative, and then use that positive and this negative, what I would be doing is increasing voltage and keeping the same amount of amps. So I would still have 110 amp hours instead of 330, but instead of having 12 volts, I would have 12 times 3 is 36 volts. Then it'd be 36 volts, which is a lot more voltage. So you can do 100 different things depending on like your solar situation or your power demands and all that. But we run a 12 volt system. We want a 12 volt system.
Okay.
So if these were 6 volt batteries, I would do exactly that. Positive, negative,
To make them
positive,
bigger,
negative.
more powerful.
To make 12 volt. But you'd do 2 of them. 2 6 volt batteries to make a 12 volt battery, and then you'd need another one, and you'd make,
Okay.
you'd have 4 batteries. And then you'd have basically hook 2 batteries up like this. So it gets confusing, but direct current is fairly simple once you get the basics. But anyway, there you go. That's a 12 volt setup. That's the cables made, and you can see how they're hooked up down here. That if I would have used those cheapy connectors, it's just a fail point having those little bitty aluminum at that ends, which would get hot when you draw current. Like our fridge doesn't work. The whole idea is to get a fridge to be able to run off of this, and I'm gonna go with a 12 volt fridge, but still it's running all the time. It's a high current draw. Then you know, you plug in a couple computers, turn on the TV, boom, you're drawing a lot of current. Right, so you're drawing a lot of current, and then after the current draw, you know, it just, like I said, it makes a funnel, and all that power is just going through a little bitty spot. This way the power stays spread evenly. It's a solid connection, and we don't have any issues. It's a little bit more expensive. You could probably even come close to buying cables yourself. I think they're about $3 a piece to buy a cable pre-made that's, I don't know, 19 inches or something like that. But the other drawback to that is it's a 19-inch cable, which means when you're drawing power or you're charging, your voltage has to go through all of that wire. So the object is to keep your wires short and keep them close to the same size so that current flows evenly into your batteries, and likewise it flows out evenly. So there you go. That's what I got for you.
Lesson number 1.
If you think I'm wrong, comment. All right, thanks. Bye. Battery wire run from the house battery, factory stock, however you want to say it, stock house battery, into our 3-bank setup, giving us a 4-bank battery storage. Getting ready to hook up the isolator down there right now to the positive lead here, and we're ready to go start charging. Voltage is correct. I already checked it. It's holding at 11.3 volts, which is a little low because we've been using it, but we're good. I'm gonna hook that up and we're good to go. Had to go buy more connectors. Yay. Alright, battery setup all hooked up, good to go. So we're driving today. It will be charging, and that is the extra wire, so I have plenty of wire to add on and do as necessary. But that's it. Nope, the inverter is not hooked up. We don't have a constant supply of charging the batteries. Once we get solar, whenever that happens, then we'll hook that up so that we can use it. But for right now, we're just trying to make sure that we can still use our computers, and we made it a day and a half on the house battery, which is not great, but now we're up to roughly 400 amp hours of battery, so we should be able to go at least a couple days, maybe 3. That'd be great. We'll find out. Alright, thanks.